So I just wanted to take a quick look at the 2011 Spanish language film, The Skin I Live In. I thought this was a very interesting film. I thought it was extremely well acted, and of course, um, this is being directed by Pedro Almodovar, which he's a very, I guess you could say, controversial director in his own right. But this was a very interesting piece, and of course, this was based off of a French language book. Um, and to some degree, the two pieces do follow along the lines of one another, and then they just kind of veer off in different directions and become their own separate stories. But what I thought was very interesting about this, without trying to destroy too much about the plot if you're not familiar with the book or the film, is this is once again, I guess you could say, borders on biohorror or mad scientist subgenre, but it definitely does take things to an extreme. Um, One of the best comparisons I can think of is Boxing Helena, where Julian Sand's character just seems to keep taking things to an extreme in reference to keeping and holding this woman captive. In this sense, you have a young man who has been taken hostage by a brilliant plastic surgeon, and he's putting this young man through sexual reassignment surgeries. So he's gradually taking this independent young man and turning him into actually a very lovely young woman. But he has not consented. The boy does not want to be a woman. He has been taken against his will. He's had his documents falsified, and he has slowly been altered into something and someone that he is not. And even though eventually later in the film we do, via backflash story segments and whatnot, we do discover and realize why the doctor has done this. We may not necessarily agree that this is justifiable, but we do see the doctor's reasonings, which I'm not going to tell you. But these flashback segments really do fill in a lot of gaps and make it easier for us to see and understand what it is exactly that's going on, because the story is told in somewhat of a semi non-linear um, storyline, I guess you could say. We kind of start in the middle, and then we move on to the present, and then we get the backflashes via dream sequences. So we're not necessarily handed the story all at once, but we are able to see and realize what exactly it is that's going on. But to me, it's just the fact that one would question, how far is too far, or maybe not even that. You would think from the victim's angle, what kind of a mental anguish could they possibly be going through? The fact that you're a man and you're gradually being turned into a woman, you're being encouraged to behave and dress like a woman. He gives the young man makeup, dresses, things like that, and of course, he rejects these things, which does make sense, but he finds solace in his own mind, and he helps keep himself grounded via yoga and other projects. So he does make an effort to maintain his sanity. And of course, the young man's character is Vincent, who later becomes Vera. But Vincent, we do see that he does make an effort to keep his mind intact and to maintain his identity. So to me, the title of the film is very multi-layered, The Skin I Live In, because Vincent obviously did not start off as a woman. He was gradually turned into one. So that is, I guess you could say, one facade that is forced upon him. But then, well, where does the mad scientist part actually fall into this, is probably what you're wondering. So the doctor, I believe his name was Richard, is experimenting on a new skin prototype, which it's actually a stronger, thicker skin, but it's also very soft. So it does very well and effectively simulate actual human flesh. But numerous tests that Vincent had gone under was actually, having the skin burned just to see where the point is of actual pain, or having mosquitoes set on him just to discover if the skin is resistant or repellent, which of course once again it is. So that is why I would say the title is very multi-layered. You've got the scientific angle as well as the psychological, and then of course the literal. So we very briefly have the image of a bald woman in this film, of course. That is when Vincent's character is still in transition and developing, and they are also given somewhat of a skin suit to wear just to help the body mold and better take on the skin grafting which has gone on. But I think it is a very intelligent film. It's definitely one of those that, once again, you can just sit and think on or discuss for days, just because there is so much that's going on with this story. It really does hold the viewer's interest, and just the fact I did make the boxing Helena reference. You may yourself find yourself wondering at times, how far is too far? In the beginning, we have a team of scientists who are brought in, and Vincent is emasculated, and he has had that area of his body reconfigured, for lack of better terminology. I'm not trying to be vulgar here. And we do go through somewhat of that treatment process where he is being examined to make sure that his body is redeveloping properly, as well as certain tools which must be used in order to help that new orifice shape itself properly. So that in itself is not only just a torture, but it's a humiliation to have your body mutilated against your own will, and then in order to fight off any sort of a disease or infection, or just having something close up, in order to avoid future issues later. Basically something that you're being forced to have to continue and keep up with, even though it's not something you yourself want to do. So, even on a very dark psychological level, what the doctor is doing to this young man, Vincent, is just extremely jacked up. But what interests me here is, and the film really doesn't go too much in detail on this, I've only read segments of the book, so I don't know for sure if the book goes into that detail or if the main focus also remains as revenge. But nobody really touches on, other than yoga as the coping mechanism, no one really touches on how is Vincent doing mentally, and how is he struggling to keep himself stable. No one really touches on that. And I guess, yeah, to some degree, it's not really an emotional boo-hoo story. It is a drama to some degree, but I would say it's more into more of a dark medical thriller than anything else. But it's definitely a very interesting story, and I would recommend, if you haven't seen it, definitely take a look. If you're not familiar with Almodovar's other work, then definitely take a look at those as well, because every single piece, they're all very intelligent films. They do cause you to sit down and examine the film, but as you watch the film, you discover that nothing is what it seems. You're given the overall story, and then you're actually given certain snippets that fill in the gaps, but even then, you're still left to decide for yourself what did go on here. And I think that's an amazing piece of storytelling right there, the fact that you can engage your audience, but you can actually hold their thoughts long after the film is over and the story's been told. But that is pretty much all I have for you guys today on this film, and I will talk to you later.